In this episode of Alive, my search for the best ways to live, I am with Sir Chief himself, Mr. Richard Yap. We talked about Congress, COVID-19, and K-drama, among other things. That's coming up in a few moments. Of course, this episode of Alive is brought to you by Living and Style. They've got a mid-year big sale, but it's only until the end of June. So you better go to the Park Mall second level now and take advantage of the Living and Style mid-year sale. It's also the big sale at Cebu Home and Builders. Take advantage of this in all of their branches, but only until the month of June. Also, thank you so much, Lala Move. Get a move on now and download the app now, okay? Hi everyone, welcome to Alive, my search for the best ways to live. I'm your host. My name is Jiggy Jr. and our guest today is a successful businessman. He is a movie star and a public servant. I'm sure you've seen his face many times on television. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, Mr. Richard Yap.
Hi Jiggy, nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
Thank you so much for doing this, Richard. It is always a pleasure to talk to you. I spoke to you a few years ago, pre-pandemic, and I'm glad to see you again here at Tinderbox in Access, right, in Capitol. Thank you so much for doing this. First and foremost, I think it is important that I ask you this question because as of this shooting, our former President Benigno Aquino the third, or Pinoy, or Noynoy Aquino, died just a few hours ago.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on our former president's passing?
Yeah, I think it's such a no, what do you call that? Such a waste that he died at such an early age. You know, he's only 61, and he could have done so many things if he had lived a lot longer. But it's really so sad that he had to pass away so soon.
I remember I spoke to you back in 2019. Richard, and it was like it was another world, right? If I told you back in 2019 that the world would hit the pause button, ABS-CBN would shut down, and today, June 2021, we are still in this whole mess of the pandemic, almost a year and a half into it. What would you have told me kung gisultihan ka na ko ana bay during that interview that we had back in 2019? Unsa may misultin mo na ako nga, Richard, pause ang kalibutan ba niya? ABS-CBN manira unya. 2 years into a pandemic, naagya punta sa problema na to. Panahuman. What would you have told me, man?
Regarding the pandemic, I wouldn't have believed you because there was no inkling na ay pandemic nga moabot. But the ABS-CBN issue was really something na we were expecting.
Okay.
Because we already knew that there was a rift between government and ABS-CBN. So that would have been possible. But saying that the pandemic was coming, I would have said you were crazy.
But there were telltale signs. I mean, like there were several clips of Bill Gates announcing to the world that the next thing that we have to prepare for is a pandemic, and there were a lot of signs about something like this happening. In fact, there were already previous episodes of potential pandemics like SARS, right, or H1N1, and all that stuff. So this was something that the world, not just here in the Philippines, but everyone in the world, really just did not take seriously, right?
Yeah, Bill Gates was talking about this in 2015.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's such a coincidence that he would be able to know exactly what was going to happen in 5 years' time, 6 years, 5 years' time. So I don't know if it's a conspiracy or...
Wait a minute. So are you one of those? Do you think that all of this is a conspiracy to an evil end?
Well, this virus was made in a lab. A lot of research has been going into that, and it's coming out that it's it was made in a lab. That's why it came from Wuhan and all that. But I guess we will never know the truth unless somebody really comes out and tells us. But
funny thing about the truth is the truth always has a funny way of coming out. in time, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're looking into that, the possibility of this. Well, it's probably made in a lab and was accidentally leaked, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Could
the
be.
theory, right?
Yeah.
In Wuhan, and I think there is a laboratory in Wuhan that's called a coronavirus laboratory or something like that, right? So the name of the laboratory actually bears the name of the pandemic, right? Of the disease that we're all enduring now. So, you know, it would not be impossible for that to have happened, right?
Yeah, and they were saying that it was funded by Fauci and the American US dollars. I know it's all coming out in the internet, so we sometimes we don't really know what's true anymore.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I wanted to ask you, but I didn't warn you about it. But I think I should ask you that. How do you feel about that? With all of this information that's coming out, with our access to technology, to information, is so widespread now. Everybody has a cell phone. Everybody has access to information. And our ability to sift through all of the mountain of information is almost impossible for us to find out what true is and what a lie is.
Yeah.
How do you feel about all of this, man? Especially because I know you have kids too, right? And yourself, I'm sure you're also having a hard time navigating through all of this information. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know, the internet has its pros and cons, and I guess that is really something that we should look out for ourselves. We need to do our own research. We need to find out who that person, if we, you know, the background of that person that is telling us all these things, to see if he's really reliable or not, and all that. So we really need to look back and see what they've done, and see if, you know, if they've been doing the right thing, then maybe he's telling us the truth. You know, I guess it's a question of character. I guess you know, character really tells us.
So what do you tell your kids, like how do you arm them with the correct filters to know, to discern what's true and what's not? Because me, it's you know what, I look for established media outlets, right? Because I want the news to come from some place that has an office, a place that I can throw tomatoes at, or perhaps, you know, visit if something's wrong. That's my sort of my filter.
Yeah.
They have to be like a real company, a real office, a real media outfit. But how about you? How do you arm yourself and your kids with the right filters to discern what is true and what is fake?
I think it's just like what we were taught when we were younger, that, you know, you should be taught right and wrong, and then from there you base it on the principles basically that you were taught when you know, growing up, because it doesn't necessarily mean that if you have a media outfit with an office, you can be trusted.
Of course, yeah.
Because there are you know, there are also paid media.
Yeah,
also,
of course, yeah, absolutely. But at least there's something that you can storm into if in case something is wrong, right? But all of these media outfits that have, you know, you don't know where they are, you'd have never heard these people, and they all of a sudden come up with all these fake news sometimes.
Yeah, so it's really very difficult for us to find out if what is fake and what is not. So I guess you really have to be very careful on what you believe in, and check if there are other types of news that are the same. And, you know, because usually if there's smoke, there's fire. So if there's something wrong, it will usually come out. And if this thing is really true, I think that will come out also in the end.
So the truth always comes out in the end, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully, right? Grabe, it's so confusing now. I really can't imagine how myself can really figure out what is true or not. What I do is I look for opposing news outfits. Kanang mga control. Let's say, for example, CNN and Fox.
Yeah.
These are opposing news outfits, right? So Fox is conservative and CNN is construed as liberal, right? Or Democratic and Republican or something like that. So kung ilang balita are the same, so I guess
it's usually
it is probably universally true, right?
Yeah.
But then again, it's usually from the conservative perspective and from the liberal perspective. So the truth has different angles also. So naik butang nga tinuod, but ang ilang paglantaw nila is from a different angle.
Yes.
So like
from what they believe is right for them and all that. So
because it's also a business, like you said, right?
Yes.
It's a business. So if you're a conservative TV station, then you have to look at it from a conservative point of view. If you're a liberal TV outlet, you have to look at it from a liberal perspective because your advertisers are liberal and conservative, right? So
yeah, but we have to believe. We have to think about it that what the saying is true, that a lie often told becomes the truth.
Yeah. A lie spoken long enough becomes the truth.
And some people really believe their own lies.
That's the worst part.
Yes.
That's the worst part, right? And even worse, they don't know that they're lying. They've already forgotten that they've lied.
Yes, true.
So what they say, they think that it's true. That's even worse. How do you fix that?
I don't know because it's hard to argue with people like that because they're always right. They really believe it. So it's so hard for you to. It's really so hard to talk to people like that because they really believe that what they're saying is true, even though that it's been proven that they've lied. They believe that they're still doing the right thing. So.
Wow, I think that is a rabbit hole that we don't want to get into. So let's move to the next question, man, because that's a question that has no end, right? That's a topic that has no end.
And there are people like that who really exist.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll just have to be on the lookout and be warned about these kinds of people, right? Richard, you ran for, if you don't mind, I'll call you Richard. Is that okay?
Yes,
how do your friends call you? How does Ernest Herrera call you?
Go.
Okay, go. But we're not Gao, so Richard is fine, right? You ran for, I'm sure Ernest had a lot to do with that. You ran for Congress back in 2019, right? And a lot of people were surprised why Sir Chief, movie star, wholesome movie star, businessman, would get into politics, right? So obviously, you didn't quite make it the first time around. What did you learn from running back in 2019?
That politics is really dirty.
Okay.
Okay. Straight to the fact.
Okay.
To the truth that there are a lot of people who want to go into it because they want something for themselves and not to help the people. There are some people who really want to get into it because they see that there's money to be made in it. And it's not really, they keep repeating themselves that, we want to help the people, we want to do this, we want to do that. In the end, they don't keep their promises, and then they steal the lives of the people. They steal the chances of the people to improve their own lives by not giving them the services that the people deserve. All the things that you should be giving them are not being given to them because you yourself are the one who are keeping it for yourself, benefiting from the position you're getting.
So but that's politics. But how about the business of running and trying to win an election? How do you feel about that? And what have you learned from the campaign trail?
Well, it's so hard to run a campaign if you're new, because I was a neophyte during that time. That was my first time that I tried it, and if you go up against all these people who have been in the business for so long, they already have themselves ingrained, in the people already. People are so brainwashed that they are the messiah, that they really think that the new ones can come in and do the job themselves. So that's really the difficult part. But as we've seen in the last election, a lot of dynasties were torn down. They were removed from office, and a lot of the new ones who took over have been able to do a lot a lot more in less than 3 years than the dynasties have been doing in 20, 30, 40 years. So, we really need the people to open up their minds to getting new people, to not to lead them, but to serve them.
I've always said this, that running or governing public service is a young man's job. Sure, there are a lot of people who gather a lot of experience from all those years in public service.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the day to day, when it comes to all of these decisions that you have to make, you can't make them if you're old. As you can see, one of the best countries that have performed in the crisis of this pandemic is New Zealand, right? Ardern, their prime minister, is a very young woman.
Yes. Yeah.
And a lot of other nations who have young leaders are actually very successful in curbing this global pandemic. So, what are your thoughts on youth? What are your thoughts on that and public service? Do you think that if you're young, you're at a disadvantage? As shown around the world, it is actually an advantage. And like I said, running for office or public service is a young man's job, and not for somebody who has a weak heart.
Yeah, I think because before they always said that experience is the best teacher. So they were saying that the older people would have the experience to be able to lead, to serve, and all that. But that has changed so much. Now we rely on people who are younger, who have better ideas, who are more innovative, who are risk takers, to be able to deal with problems, or to come up with solutions which are not, which are out of the box. So sometimes it's we should give a chance to the people who are younger, because we know that the generation now is so much different from our generation and the generation before us. So they all have a thing or two to contribute to whatever it is that we've already learned and we've already experienced. So I think there is some advantage to being young, because you don't have that much fear compared to people who are older.
Di na pwede, oy.
Diba? Oh,
Di na
diba?
pwede.
That's the
Di na. I've seen that before. Di na pwede.
in our time, namubuhata, di ba?
Oo.
So, iging ani among gibuhat. They always go back to in the when I was younger, mauni among gibuhat. But you can't keep on thinking about the past, because the world has changed so much. So you have to keep up with it and look forward to see what you can do in the future.
So you think that youth is a big advantage in governing?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. It's experience can be a good teacher, but if you don't give them the chance to do it, how can they experience?
Besides, you can have
Public service.
older politicians as consultants, right?
Yes,
You
of
can
course,
surround
yeah,
yourself
yeah.
with sage, old, experienced men who can whisper a thing or two,
Yeah.
and give you their ideas on how it's supposed to be done. But at the end of the day,
True.
it's you who will decide. So I think it's crucial that you surround yourself with these old and experienced politicians as well.
Yes.
You're not going to listen to them 100%, but at least their inputs
Yes.
are being heard by
True.
by you, right? And speaking of old politicians, the position that you ran for office, the Congress in the north, right?
Yes.
Congressman Raul Del Mar passed away
Yeah.
just last year, right?
Yeah. Sad.
What are your thoughts on the passing of the congressman?
Well, it was very sad that he had to pass away during the pandemic,
Okay.
because I know it was hard for everyone who lost someone they loved. I know that he was well loved with the Cebuanos as well. So I'm sure there are a lot of people who are going to miss him and miss his kind of service.
Okay, let's play hypothetical. Let's play mind games. Had you won Congress back in 2019 and you inherited a pandemic, What
Yes.
would you have done?
You know, even though we didn't know that the pandemic was coming, I was actually preparing for something like that because what I wanted to do, my focus at that time um, was expanding the hospital system in Cebu, especially the North District. I wanted to put up a hospital. They already have actually a hospital in the Northern District, which is the Guba Hospital, but Guba ang hospital nila. You know, it's not working.
Okay.
It's it's in such disarray because I don't think they really set it up, and I wanted to do something that would fix it
Mhm.
so that people in the Northern District, like in the mountain barangays, would be able to use it. And I wanted to set up, let's say, a clinic or in every barangay hall. You know, wherever there's a barangay hall, we should have a clinic, a nurse, or a doctor. That is what I was preparing for because we wanted, let's say, a district hospital per area. So that would have helped immensely if we already had that in place. I know it was too short of a time, but that was the direction that we were going to take. That was really one of my campaign, not promises, one of the platforms I had in my campaign.
So how about the testing and the vaccination and all that stuff? How would you have been as a congressman? How would you have responded to all of that? I mean, like, how would you have felt when you were in Congress and all that stuff?
You know, when all this started and people were locking down their flights in and out of the country, I would have asked the government to shut us down also, so that we couldn't, we won't, our borders wouldn't be open to this this what do you call that, COVID virus. We would I would have been more, I think, proactive by asking people to be tested also, because we were seeing them doing that in all the other countries already. So I would have learned from what the other countries would be doing by mimicking also, if we didn't have that idea yet, to the other countries who were doing it. And one place I would be looking at would be like Singapore, because or Taiwan, because they were doing a hell of a job.
So that's what you would have done if you were congressman back in 2019. Sir Chief, just because you're a rock star in your field doesn't mean that you're going to be a rock star in public service. Just because you're great at boxing, just because you're a great businessman, just because you're a great actor, does not mean that it will translate well in public service. In fact, very few people who have pivoted from becoming a rock star in one field has ever become a rock star in another field. There are very few people that we can think of. My question here is, number one, who do you look up to? Who do you think has made the successful jump from whatever industry he or she is from to public service? Who do you look up to? And my second question is, why do you think that you, a successful businessman and movie star, successful in the entertainment industry, can translate all of that success in a totally different field, which is public service? Those are two questions.
Yeah. For the first question, actually there have been a lot of actors who have done well doing public service. One of them is Vilma Santos.
Okay.
She's done a lot of things for Batangas and all that.
Okay.
There's Richard Gomez, who's done very well for Ormoc. When he went in, the roads were just about 24% cemented or paved. When now it's about 90% already.
Okay.
Aside from that, he's done a hell of a job. Ormoc City is also drug cleared now. And there's also Isko Moreno, who's done so much for Metro Manila, the city of Manila, I guess. And even from the smallest things, you can already see that Manila has grown by leaps and bounds because of what he's done. Aside from that, there are a few other public officials. Maybe in the U.S. you could say Ronald Reagan was
actor,
one of the best presidents that they had also. And you know, you can't always guarantee that you'll be good in whatever you do if you move to another industry. But if you do well in one industry, that means you really did your work. You worked hard for it, because success is not by chance. You really have to do something to be able to reach where you are now. You have to work at it, learn the ropes, and do all that you have to do to be able to reach that point of success that you're saying that you're being a rock star. So I guess it's the willingness to learn. If you move to public service and if you want to do your best and give it your all, I think you can also do as well as what you did while you were in the entertainment industry. There's so many people who are clamoring for businessmen to move into politics because they've seen that these businessmen can run their corporations and be able to help the people at the same time. And it's almost the same as running a country. A lot of people don't know that I'm also a businessman. So they see me from my shows as a Sir Chief only, or on TV, but they don't know that I've been a businessman since God knows when. My dad was a businessman. I learned a lot of things from him. I went into business also. I went from a private corporation. Now I have my own businesses. Restaurants, office furniture business. We have pet hotels. We have a the Skills Training Center, which is teaching skills to a lot of people so that they can get jobs. Offering them scholarships through the help of government also. So they don't know all these things. I'm civil service eligible, professional level. So I could have gone into any government position if I wanted to. This was way back in 2000 and maybe 2007, or I guess. So there are a lot of things that people don't know about me. I was also an executive assistant to an ambassador who was the president of the chairman Confederation of Asia Pacific Chambers of Commerce. We deal with a lot of businesses from all over the world. We talk to a lot of businessmen, and once it took me to as far away as Iran. So these are things that people don't know about, but we can use all this that we've done, all the experiences that I've had, to be able to use it also in politics or in public service.
I once asked a young politician this question, and I think I'll ask you this too. I've seen so many young, promising politicians who have a pure heart, who are intentions are pure and real and honest, and you just see them getting eaten up by the system, and they become another person on the other side. Like, you know that they were pure, they were honest, they were very sincere, just like you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're going to become one, but what do you think is your safeguard from becoming just one of those? Grabe yung going politics. I'm sure you're aware of this. You have Ernest here beside me. It's a really bunch of compromise, right?
Yes.
You have to compromise whatever it is that you feel strongly about to be able
to get what you
get
want.
things done, right?
Yes.
And all of those compromise after compromise after compromise, and all of a sudden you lose yourself in the forest, and where am I? Like, wala yung tabo nila ba? Nga, these pure-hearted people go into politics sincerely, but they become different people because they get eaten up by the system. What are your thoughts on that, and how do you think will you be able to not become just one of those politicians in the end?
Yeah. I guess, as you can see, before I became an actor, you know, before I moved into the entertainment industry, I was working in the private, corporation. I was private business and all that. And since that time, I've been in showbiz for 10 years now. Most of my friends who know me know that I haven't changed from someone who was unknown to someone who is known now. So I don't see myself changing just because I become a politician. As long as you set your sights on your goals, you know, whatever compromises that you have to make, I just want to be sure that we will accomplish the goals that we want, for not only for the city, or for the people you serve. So I think there is some hope with that, because we now see a lot of like-minded people who are in government. Before, usually it was so hard for people with the good intentions to get into government, but we've seen that a lot of them are now there. And I've met a lot of other people also who want to help. I talk with a lot of businessmen, and these businessmen are the one who are controlling the country in terms of businesses. So they have hopes also that one day we will get that person to be able to lead the country, who is not that traditional politician that everyone sees, that it's someone that people can't really trust. So hopefully it's getting there slowly, but I'd like to ask other people who have the same intentions to try and do your best also for the government, to try and get a position, because if we don't do this ourselves, then we'll just leave it up to the people who have been there for the longest time. And how can we change that if we don't try to do it?
So you have to do it ourselves, right? If you want to get things done, do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
Stop complaining and do it yourself.
Yeah, because if we keep on complaining, nothing's going to come out of it. You can rant on social media, but what will happen?
Like you mentioned, I didn't know that you were an executive assistant to an ambassador to the Southeast Asian nations. I didn't know that you were this and that. So maybe you can give us an idea, Sir Chief or Richard. Give us the background of your youth. Give us an idea of what you were as a kid and what led you to becoming a businessman, a movie star, a public servant. What were those factors that led you to this moment right here, right now?
Yeah. Well, I was born and I grew up here in Cebu. Our house was in B. Rodriguez, Espina Village, for the longest time. It was there for about 40 something years.
Wow. Okay.
When I was born, I was born there in that. We were already staying in that house, but before that, my parents stayed in Jasmin, somewhere near the capital area.
Okay, Jasmin,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So after I was born, we moved into that house, and I grew up there. I went to St. Benedict's for kindergarten, and then I went to Sacred Heart School for boys, for grade school and high school. After that, I wanted to be a doctor, so I went to Veles College for pre-med. So I took up med tech, but my dad didn't want me to continue. He said, medicine is going to take a lot of time for you to finish. He was a businessman, so he says, I want you to go into business. So that's why I went to De La Salle University to finish my studies.
For business?
For business,
okay.
Yeah. Well, I never really envisioned myself to become an actor, because that was never one of my goals, or I never wala ko nagdahom nga mahimo kog artista. Kay
Dili ka artistahon sa Sacred Heart ba
no, the only
Dili ka artistahon ato muna de.
Actually, I was very very shy.
Okay.
In a way, nilumon ko, and the only thing that I did was I joined the school play in fourth year.
That was it.
That was it. And gipugos pag ko sa akong teacher because I didn't want to join. Actually, I was auditioning for a very small part.
Okay.
And she said, "No, you audition for the main part." Sabi ko, I don't want that responsibility. I don't want that. But she said, "No, just audition for it." And ako ang iyang gikuha.
Okay.
So I had no choice.
Maybe that was the beginning, right?
Maybe, but after that, when I got married, wa man ko, we were medyo estranged, medyo na kick out ko because I didn't marry a Chinese girl.
Okay.
So, medyo na, you could not really disown, slightly lang.
Slightly disown. Is there such a thing?
So, I had to work on my own.
Find your way.
Find my own way. So, I went into doing commercials as a sideline.
You mean like TV commercials?
TV commercials, yeah.
Okay.
Because I was working for a private corporation at that time, and one of my office mates, nisulti mo siya, uy, you could be a commercial model. Sabi niya, why don't you try? I'll introduce you to my mga agents and all that. So that's what he did. And I went to the auditions and all that. So, and it was easy money, At that time, pang extra na, pang gasolina, pang grocery. So I said, why not? So I went into that. And then I had a very big break with this commercial for fast food.
Yeah.
And I became the chef for all in all, about 10 years. So I was the face of that. Well, I can say it's Chowking. I was the face of Chowking for a long time. So even then, wa gyapon ko mag-ambisyon nga mag-artista jud, because that was the farthest thing from my mind. But suddenly somebody reached out to me because they were looking for somebody to play the part of Kim Chu's dad. I was already 44 at that time. Of course, at 44, you don't think that you're going to be an artista. Diba? Kaya sabi ko, tiguang na ka. So, when my friend texted me, actually, my friend was my classmate in Veles.
Okay.
But her cousin was a production manager for that soap. So, she texted me and said, Charito texted me. She said Chard, basi gusto niyo mag-artista, nangita ko na sila koan para papa ni Kim Chu. I said, waka ka binuang. Katiguang na nako para mag-artista. Yung siya nga, she said no, tinuod, tawag ako na akong igagaw. So, I did, and they asked me to go in and read a few lines, parang sort of an audition. And then after that, they said, sige. After a week, they asked me to come back to talk to the director, and the director was talking to me about who my co-actors were going to be, and said, this is not parang extra job because you're part of the main cast and all that. So we go, yeah, okay. Anyway, but I said, I don't have any experience with acting.
So you never acted aside from those TV commercials?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, walay lines ang commercials, di ba? You don't have to memorize anything. It's just, so it's really different. But she said, yeah, okay lang. After a week, they sent me a script on a Thursday. Thursday morning, I got the script, so I was reading through it. Thursday night, somebody called me and said, Chard, you have taping tomorrow, huh? 6 a.m. I said, wait, we haven't even talked about how much you're going to pay me and all that. No problem, just go there. It's a per day naman ang bayad and all that. We'll just pay you. And then sabi ko, do I have to even change my name or something? Sabi niya, no, it's okay. But indeed, it's no big deal. Okay. I thought it was just going to be a very, very short role. So what happened was I went there and we started taping, and that's the
The rest is history.
The rest is history. I threw myself into the lion's den. So, it was supposed to be a very short role because I was supposed to die in the beginning.
Die in the beginning?
Maybe after a few weeks.
Okay.
You know? But when people found out that I had a heart attack in the show, they said that if you're going to kill Richard, we're not going to watch anymore.
So this is what you're talking about, that ABS-CBN at that time would listen to the audience.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they
thank goodness for the audience, right?
Yeah, of course. So they had to keep me in the show. If you watch that show, My Binondo Girl, I had 3 heart attacks and I was diagnosed with cancer, but I still came out until the end.
Okay.
I never died.
Okay.
So good thing the audience didn't want me to die.
Okay.
So that's how it came to be, and then one show led to another. I thought that was the end. I was going to just play one part in one series, but after that, I started getting other offers, and we did quite well with the next series that we did. So actually, I guess that's what made me the Sir Chief that I am now, or But through it all, I got to learn a lot of things also. Because I found out that the fame that you get, the success that you get, is not really for yourself. It's for you to be able to give back to the people who look up to you and see you as some kind of hope for their lives. There's so many instances that people want to see me, but it's because they're in their final stages of their life. They have end-stage cancer, and their last wish is just to see me. I've visited I don't know how many of those people, and the next, when you see them, they can't even talk anymore. You just have to sit down with them and just hold their hand, just comfort them, and you'll see them crying.
Tears of joy.
Tears of joy for them, but for you, you feel so helpless, so hopeless that some of them are poor, so they don't have access to health care. So maybe that opened up my mind to a lot of things, and you see that things could have changed if they could have been helped, in the early stages. So I found out that at first I was really bothered by people coming up to me for pictures, because from a private person, then you lose all that privacy, and then you have to share your whole life with all these other people. But I found out that there were so many people who were inspired by what I did, who felt hope. There was even someone who messaged me that if I didn't, sometimes I would answer all their tweets and all that. If I hadn't answered her, she would have committed suicide. So, I said we could use what we have for a lot of good. So that's what made me open my eyes to, that it's not only about yourself. It's not only about what you accomplish. It's what you do during the time that you're accomplishing all these things.
So the responsibility, I guess, right?
Yeah. It's like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility, So I guess it's something like that. That's how it came to be that we started looking at things that we could do for other people. We started doing charity work for like flood victims and all that. We started doing all these things, and we started doing basically a lot of charity work for all these people. So that's what made us decide to go into
public service.
Okay. Yeah.
As successful as your shows have been on ABS-CBN, Philippine TV series and Philippine movies have not reached the global stage yet, at least as widely as the way the Koreans have done it with K-pop and K-drama.
Yes.
We were supposed to be good at this thing, man. Because I remember when I was a kid, I was already watching soap operas. I remember Annalisa, Flor de Lisa, and all those soap operas when I was a kid. But 20, 30, 40 years, we're still good at it, but not global good at it. Why do you think the Philippines is not yet at the level of where the Koreans are now in the global stage?
Well, I also asked the people in the industry that, and they say that our budget is not as big as the budget of, let's say, the Koreans. They really prepare for what they do by spending on their actors, spending on their sets, spending on the quality of the film that they use, and we haven't gotten used to canning our television series yet. So we listen to a lot of what the audience says. So they try to make the story into something that the people want. You know, they don't stick to their main story or main theme because they say that, you know, if you don't do this, we might lose this audience. So they keep on changing. So that in a way makes the television series not as good as the ones in the K-drama, because the K-drama, you know, they really stick to their storyline. Ours becomes a jumble of so many things because, you know, they don't want this guy to die, or they want this guy to come back right away.
What happened to you, right?
Yeah. And recently I had that same experience again, because another guy who was supposed to come back at a later stage in the show wanted to come back immediately, so we threw away about a week and a half's worth of taping just so that he could be accommodated. So the rest of the backstory of all the other characters nawala. So yung connectivity of all the characters becomes lost. Just because they want to accommodate an artist, or they want to accommodate the views of the audience. That in a way really is why maguba ang ato ang
So they compromise their storyline, their plot.
Yes. Yeah. If they could just trust in their creativity and their story, I think we might be able to do as well as the Korean K-drama.
So, but that's just the plot, right? And so you're suggesting that if we stick to a strict storyline and not veer away from it, that we could have had, you know, our first globally successful TV series.
Yeah, I think.
And you mentioned about the budget part of it. Isn't there more money to be had if you release your TV series all over the world, and your big budget is not really that big if you consider how much potential your movie or your TV series will make globally?
Well, I guess they're just looking at it from the local point of view, because locally they earn so much from all the commercials and all that already. So they're thinking that if they spend this much just to be able to get into the global stage, they might not earn as much. Something like that. Because a lot of these series that gets into Netflix also, they don't want these series to be shown on local TV. So they get to lose their local audience also. Aside from that, it's really the actors, like in the K-dramas or in the US, they have lots of time to get ready for their role. Here, we've experienced scripts being given to you on the day itself. You read it from a phone, So the actors really can't immerse themselves in the character as much because everything is always changing. Every day is different. The script comes to us just one script for 1 week, so you don't know what's going to happen the next week. So you can't really have that continuity in your acting and all that because you don't know what's really going to happen. So these are the things that we should change in the local industry, I think.
Do you think we have a fighting chance to become a global sensation when it comes to our film industry? Because I think a film industry of a nation is very important. Very, very important.
Yes.
You've seen Hollywood, you've seen Bollywood, you've seen, Koreans.
Yes.
Korea, their nations are actually better off as far as the way the world views them because of their film industry.
Yeah.
And I think that's very crucial in creating opportunity for a nation by exporting your film industry and showing the world what you are, who you are, what you're made of, actually improves also your economy and vice versa. So, do you think we have a fighting chance, sir?
I think there's hope. We just did the Hollywood series here in Mactan.
Okay.
It's a 10-part mini-series called Almost Paradise.
Okay.
Starred by an American, Christian Kane, and co-starred by two of our Filipino actors. What's his name? Art Acuna and Sam Richelle.
Okay.
I was part of one of the series, one of the shows. So they learned a lot from filming that here, but by doing it the American way. We had the scripts way before we were going to shoot. We had enough time to practice. We had enough time to do the scenes. You had to do the practice scene before you could shoot it and all that, which is really not something which is standard here. So I guess they learned a little bit from that, and they're trying to adapt that kind of system already. So there's really
There's
really
hope.
a hope that we can do that because we were able to produce an American series right here using our people. Some of the directors were from the local from
Cebu? From Manila?
No, from Manila.
Okay.
So we are really world class, but we just need to go to do it the right way.
So we haven't figured that out yet after decades of making film. We haven't figured it out yet. Why do you think? What's stopping us from learning? Because learning is just about transfer of technology, right? I know that the Koreans have, brought in Pharrell Williams, have brought in the big shot directors, and gave the people of the film industry seminars, and they sort of transferred their technology. They hired people from the best in the world to make their movies and all that stuff. It's just a matter of hiring people, of bringing in the right expertise and teaching your people how to do it.
I think
It seems very simple, right? Am I overly simplistic?
I think it's also the biggest thing that's holding them back is the budget for these kinds of films. It really takes up a lot of it's a lot of money to do this because like the Americans, they come out with a very nice series because they really stick to, let's say, 12-hour week your work days and all that, and Filipinos try to cut down as much as on labor, on
Okay. So budget good.
budget good ang problema na to. Because we're always looking at the budget.
Okay.
Because I guess that's the main reason.
The realities of a third world nation, right?
Yeah.
They're saying that there's not a time in the history of film that more people in the film industry are working. Is that true here in the Philippines? Is that true for you?
I think it has opened up a lot of opportunities for people who are doing indie films and digital media, because they've been able to produce the digital films and all that so that they can sell it to all these international outfits. But sadly, there are a lot of people who have lost. You are not working right now because of the closure of ABS-CBN. So that has impacted the industry very, very badly. So actually, there are a lot of people, including what's happened with the pandemic. A lot of people have lost their jobs, not only in the entertainment industry but other industries as well, such as advertising and you know. So without the pandemic and without the closure of ABS-CBN, maybe you could have said that all these things were true. That there are a lot of people who are getting more work because a lot of Filipinos are being recognized for their artistry, for their creativity, for their, for their talent also. In fact, I had an offer from Bill Duke, me, Cian Lim, and Enrique Hill to work with him on an international spy project.
Spy
Project, spy film.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
but
I thought you were going to be a spy for real.
Yeah.
It's a film. It's a movie.
it's a film.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bill Duke is the guy in Terminator.
Oh, okay, all right. Right.
Yeah, he was one of the co-stars of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's a producer, actor, and all that. So he reached out to us and wanted to meet us to do something.
And then what happened?
I wasn't able to fly to LA, and this thing happened. So maybe we'll meet him later, sometime in the future.
With ABS-CBN shut down now, and your the film industry at bay, from what I understand, you've already moved to another network, and in fact, are doing a project soon.
Yes.
Can you give us an idea which network and what kind of film? Can you divulge as much as you can without stepping on anything as far as contracts is concerned?
Yeah, actually,
what the film or the series is. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've actually moved to GMA 7, and we're doing a series also together with Heart Evangelista and Paolo Contis. It's well, as always, it's a love story.
Okay.
But it focuses on Celeste, which is Heart Evangelista, who is a socialite, who is an influencer, and she has this, she, what do you call that? She is what she is
in real life.
In real life.
It's life meets art, right?
She plays that part.
That's who she is now.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So,
Okay.
it's something quite interesting also
Okay.
because
What is your role there?
I'm her fiancé.
Okay.
Yeah, but the story is she meets up with her ex.
Okay.
And she finds out that she has some feelings for him also. So
Okay.
that's where the story revolves. But we're going to be doing the taping this coming July.
Okay.
We'll start taping in July. The film, the story is actually called the series is actually called I Left My Heart in Sorsogon.
Oh, Sorsogon.
Yes.
Okay. Shot in
and
Sorsogon, is that what it is?
We are going to be shooting in Sorsogon
Okay.
this July.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting because we're going to be showcasing a lot of unique places in Sorsogon that
So when will it be out? When will we be able to see that?
should be out by maybe fourth quarter of this year.
Fourth quarter. So, do you guys have the world in mind now when shooting this particular series? Are you looking at the world, not just the Philippines, when you're shooting this? I hope. And that you have a potential to distribute this not just in the Philippines but all over the world. But we do try to distribute our films all over the world, right? But they just don't
Yes.
have that much traction as World of the Married or all those TV
Yeah.
series, right?
But like in the one I did at ABS-CBN, Be Careful with My Heart, it's actually sold all over the world.
Yeah.
As far as South Africa,
Okay.
Sudan, Tanzania, and all those Middle East. So it's actually world class.
Okay.
But I guess the quality of the film was not as sharp as what is needed in Netflix or in all those other outfits. but they actually are able to sell it, but maybe for a cheaper price. So it has that worldly appeal, although not the worldly standard.
Yet, at least not yet.
Yet.
So do you think you have the world in mind now? When you think that the people that were working on this particular series have the world in mind now when they're filming this
Hopefully, because it's kind of like a K-drama
kind of thing?
of thing already.
Okay.
Even the story itself is moving in that direction.
Okay. K-drama. So there is an actual brand of storytelling that the Koreans have. We do also have a brand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch a film without noticing what it is, you know it's a Filipino film based on the brand. So maybe it's just too patronizing us to the Filipino. Maybe you have to look outside of the Philippines too, right? So that our appeal will become global. Because I don't think the world likes as much as the Koreans do. The Koreans are well loved all over the world. You know, we're not yet at that stage yet, right?
It's because our types of stories are usually geared towards satisfying the viewers.
Yeah.
You know,
In the Philippines.
In the Philippines, it has to have a happy ending. The two lead stars have to end up together.
Okay.
You know, you can't leave people hanging if they're going to be together or not. So those are the
Really?
things that
I don't think it's common in Korean films, right?
Yes.
Normally, it's not a happy ending. Right?
not all the time.
Yeah,
right. And sometimes it just leaves you hanging. You don't know.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? But our films don't have that because you know it's like they have to force it on us that this is what happens in the end.
Yeah.
They get married, they have kids, and they show it all on the last day.
Yeah. So I guess we can learn a thing or two from the Koreans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with learning as long as you make it better.
If you haven't noticed it, it usually like a TV series usually ends up in the lead stars getting married.
Happy ending.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that way in
Okay.
other let's say in K dramas or in the Western TV series. You don't really have to show it that they get married, but you know it's just implied that okay they end up happily together.
So how many episodes is this particular series? The one in Sorsogon?
I think it's going to run for about 12 weeks, something like that.
I guess the DNA of GMA is different from ABS-CBN, right? So do you think they will still also change mid-shoot, or are they going to be true to the script from day one?
I think they try to stay as true to the script as possible, and they don't have a lot of revisions of the
Okay.
script anymore. So hopefully we'll be able to study the script more intently and give justice to the character as well.
And you know what, Sir Chief, the elections is looming next year, right? Congressman Delmar passed away last 2020. We have a pandemic. People are saying that this is the kind of leaders that we're going to have to elect in the next election. Somebody who's ready for something as grave as a pandemic. Somebody who has solutions to a pandemic. I know that you tried your hand on politics back in 2019, and you fell short on your first attempt. Will you give it a second chance? Will you give it a second try? Even though we have all of this mess that you have to fix, if ever you get elected.
That will depend on a lot of things because it will depend on the party. It will depend on because we belong to a political party, so it will have to depend if they're going to pick us to be the standard bearer for that position, and it will depend on everything that's going on right now because, like I said, I'm doing a show right now, so we just cross the bridge when we get there.
So no commitments yet. But do you have an inkling? Do you think that you will have a sort of like a clearer path maybe next year, or
We're still
when do you think will it become clearer to you that you're going to throw your hat again one more time?
maybe in the next few months.
Okay.
But we still have that passion to serve. We still have that idealistic, the idea that we can do something better for Cebu or all that. But we'll just keep that on hold for now.
Richard, not too many people know this, but you actually got COVID. In fact, I just found out about it just a few days ago when I watched your vlog on YouTube. What is your message to all those who are going through COVID right now, watching this interview, or perhaps don't have COVID yet, but might want not to get COVID, or if they do eventually get COVID? What is your message to all of them?
Well, to all the people out there, I guess that the government's drive to have people vaccinated should be taken seriously. People should have themselves vaccinated against this COVID virus, and if you're not getting yourself vaccinated, you should be very, very careful with what you do and where you go. It's not a joke having COVID, but at that time that I got it, it was just the start of the pandemic. Well, start of the lockdown. I got it March of last year, and there was no medicine at that time for it. But now there are some medicines that are available that could lessen the impact of COVID, but still.
How bad was your case? Because from what I understand, it was your doctors mentioned that he was very worried about you and all that stuff. How bad was it?
You could say it was moderate to severe at that. I had pneumonia in both lungs. The white spots were on both. The X-rays were on my both lungs and getting filled up every day. So I couldn't breathe. I was on a high flow cannula, and even just a few steps walking would make me feel faint. So it was really hard on the body, not only physically but emotionally as well, because there was no one there to help you. You can't have visitors. You can't have someone looking after you. So it's really hard. It's difficult to be in that situation, and I guess a lot of people got depressed also. So now I guess it's much easier because, like I said, there are some medicines that they use now which are more effective compared to the time that I had it. So, but don't be complacent. Just do all the safety protocols that we've been doing. Hopefully, we'll get past this if majority of the people are vaccinated already. I hope that one of these days that this will be just like the common flu. But until such time that they come out with that medicine that can cure this, just try to keep safe as much as possible. One thing I've learned from getting COVID was you really can't say what's going to happen in your life, so you have to make the most out of it. I consider this a second life for me, so take care of yourself, take care of your family, enjoy your time here on earth as much as you can, but do as much good as you can in the time that you're here also, because you'll never know when you'll go. At that time I was already thinking, what will happen if I don't survive this? I was thinking about my insurance, if they could cover everything if I leave my family behind. It was, your mind was already reacting to it that way. So it was, for me, I guess it was really bad. But I'm just glad that through the prayers of my family, through through the prayers of the people who knew that I got it, that I was able to get through it, and also, of course, to my doctors and the hospital as well.
Did you get vaxxed already?
Actually, I'm still waiting because I don't have a schedule yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I've also, aside from being scheduled, trying to get a schedule from the local government, I also reserved from GMAs bringing in their own vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So I reserved, and I'm going to pay for it myself,
Mm-hmm.
just so that the whole family can get vaccinated. But their supplies have not arrived as well, so we're still waiting. And I don't want to, get vaccinated ahead of everyone, because I know
You want to
that-
skip the line.
Yeah, because we don't want to.
But you do believe in vaccination, right?
I guess at some point we all have to get it. Yes.
So what is your message to those who don't want to get vaccinated because they don't want to get vaccinated, period?
Well, actually, it's everyone's personal choice. But if you you also have to find out for yourself if it's going to be safe for you or not. But at this point in time, I think we should all get vaccinated, so that we can all go back to our semi-normal lives, maybe.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. Sir Chief or Richard, I know you're very busy on the socials as well. I'm sure you have a few social touch points that you'd like to share to our viewers. Why don't you invite them to check out your vlogs and all that stuff? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, if you haven't yet, please follow me on my social media pages. I have a public Facebook page. Just type in Richard Yap, and then follow me on Instagram. I'm Richard Yap, and I have Twitter. I'm Richard Yap 08, and of course on my YouTube blog, I have vlogs almost every week if I'm not late. just type in Richard Yap also, and you can find me on my vlog on YouTube. So you can get updated on what I'm up to and all the things that's going on.
Will you also be revealing at some point your TV series when you'll be shooting it next month on your vlogs and all that stuff on your platforms?
We might not be able to show it as much on the
Okay.
blog, but of course I'll take some footages that
Stolen
I might be able.
stolen videos.
I might be able to share with
All
you.
right. That sounds pretty exciting.
Behind the scenes,
Wow, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Sir Chief, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jiggy.
Wow, that was amazing, man. Thank you.
Thank you.